Hi Year 5, so Miss Rosenthal here, recording your first Year 5 Maths online video. And this is for Tuesday's lesson, but if I just tell you that this week's Maths is all about reading and interpreting tables and timetables, and there's going to be some time questions thrown in too. So let's get started with today. So we're going to read and interpret tables. Hopefully you can see my screen. So you've got a review task and you can see that you've got a table of information here and it's about planets. Now don't be deceived, we're not doing planets as our topic anymore, but I thought I'd throw this in just as a bit of a reminder of what we did last term. So let's talk about tables. Tables have got columns and they've also got rows which go horizontally across. And you've got some questions here about the information in the table. So you've got to think about which rows and which columns are going to be useful for helping you answer those questions. So let's look at the questions. Which planet has the greatest diameter? So diameter is actually the measurement of the thickest part, the widest part of the planet, almost like the equator, or if the belt was going around the middle of it. Now let's just have a little look at that table. We can see, if we look at the different headings of the columns, we can see planet, distance from the sun, time for revolution, and look here, we've got diameter, haven't we? Diameter at equator in kilometers. And so if we look at this column, we've got diameter information, different numbers, haven't we? And each one of those tells us the diameter of a particular planet, and we can see the planet names on the rows. So you can have a think about which planet has got the greatest diameter, and then you can have a think about how to write that diameter in words, and that will be a little recap of reading and writing those 5- and 6-digit numbers from last term. Then the next question says, how many planets take more than one day to rotate? So key word there is going to be thinking about rotate, rotations. And rotate is about planets turning. So how many planets take more than one day to do a full turn? Or maybe some of them take less than a day. So you might need to think about how many hours there are in a day. So third question, which planets take more than 1 year to make one revolution? So a revolution, another word for turn, I suppose, a revolution. So an orbit, completing an orbit. So that's another key word, isn't it? We might need to think about where revolution comes in our columns. So pause the video now for a moment and have a little go at the review task, and then I'll go through it with you in a moment. Okay, so let's see how you got on. So I'm just going to change my colour so we can think about working together. There we go. Just get ready. There we go. So which planet has the greatest diameter? So if I look at the diameter column, I can look at the different numbers and I can see I've got a 4-digit number, a 5-digit number. So I'm looking for 6-digit numbers. They're the greatest. And if I look and compare, I can see that actually we've got the same 100,000s column there, but 4 10,000s is greater than 2 10,000s. So this must be the greatest number. So if I wanted to write that diameter in words, let's just go to my pen, my text. I would need to write 142,984. So let me just check that, 142,984. Hopefully you got the same as me. How many planets take more than 1 day to rotate? So we've got 24 hours in a day, haven't we? So if we look at our rotating column, it says time for rotation here. So how many planets take more than 1 day to rotate? We're looking at numbers that are going to be greater than 24 hours. So we can see that we've got some hours and some days, haven't we? So this one, if I go from the bottom, we've got less than 24 hours, less than 24 hours, so there can't be a day, less than 24 hours, less than 24 hours. Mars takes 25 hours to rotate. And we've also got Earth. Now that does take 24 hours to rotate. We know that, don't we, from our science. But the question says more than 1 day. So I'm going to leave Earth out. Oh, and then look, this one is definitely more than 24 hours because it says 243 days. And this one also says days. So how many planets take more than 1 day to rotate? The answer should be 3. Now let's look at which planets take more than 1 year to make one revolution. So let's look at the revolution column. Time for revolution is there, so it's this column we're looking at. We're looking for planets that take more than 1 year. So how many days are there in a year? Well, I know that there's 365 days in a year, so let's look at the numbers and see which planets have more than 365 days. So Mercury has only got 88 days, Venus has got 225, ooh, not quite, 355 days, that should probably be 365, shouldn't it? So we've got this one here, Mars is more than 365 days. Oh, look, we've got some that are years now, so these are definitely more than 1 year. It says 12 years and 29 years and 84 years and 165 years. So which planets take more than 1 year to make one revolution? We've got Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter and Mars. Okay, so the next questions are for you to have a go at on your own. You've got a guided practice task, some similar questions to what we've just been looking at. So think about those column headings, think about which rows you might need to look at. One word here, ascending order. Have a think about what you can remember about ascend and descend. Think about the stairs or an escalator. If you were ascending the stairs, you'd be starting at the lowest step and you'd be going up. And if you were descending, you'd be starting at the highest step and you'd be going down. So have a think about how you can put those diameters in the right order. And then your independent practice is a different kind of table. So see if you can spot the difference with the layout of the table. Think about what you've now got in your columns and what's in your rows. You've also got a little bit of a negative numbers recap in here as well, because you can see that some of these temperatures are negative numbers. So have a think about what the coldest temperature might be and what the warmest temperature might be. Okay. One more thing to think about. Oh yeah, you've got another table of information here, so just keeping the information fresh, see if you can apply your knowledge in another way. And then there's a deeper thinking task at the end. And for the deeper thinking task, you're going to have to think about how the information is going to be interpreted in these tables. For instance, if you had some children scoring some scores in an athletics tournament, who would win if it was a 100-meter sprint? Would you, if you were going to win, would you have the greatest time or would you have the smallest time? But then if you were doing a shot put, which is where you have to throw a heavy weight the furthest distance, would you want to have the lowest number or the highest number? You're going to have to think about that. Okay, good luck everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Okay, bye.